Hi, crafty friend. It's me, Justine Dvorak from Stationery by Justine, where when I craft, my world stands still. I hope that you are here today, and if you are, please go ahead and pop in the chat where you are from. That would help me know that somebody is here with me today. I know this is a very unusual time to do a live for my channel. I usually am not home right now, so here we are on Thursday morning. And I'm going to show some Hero Arts products. Today is the first day of spring, so you might hear a few little birdies outside my window. The birds have been so Twitter-pated, to say the least. But spring has sprung, and I have some new goodies from Hero Arts here today. Oh, hi, Melanie. Thanks for joining. You're the best. Although, if you're here, that means you're not sleeping, which is sad for me. I'm so sorry for you. But let's just talk about two cards that I've already made with the new items from Hero Arts. First is this glimmered butterfly, which I think is so gorgeous. It's called the Butterfly Foil and Cut. It has a coordinating die, and it is a great size. It does fill up a nice part of the card. And then I did add some sentiments from a stamp set, which I'll talk about in just a minute here. And then I did make another card before the live started. Actually, I made this last night, but with a watercolor theme on the background with a bold celebrate die, which I'll talk about in a second, and then a sentiment that says you did it. And then I just did a little fun splatter on the back because it's kind of fun to add a little texture every once in a while. But today the card I'm going to make is a little bit more involved than these two. So it's going to be a shaker, and I'm going to do some stenciling, some stamping. It's going to be a whole thing. So I hope you enjoy. Let's talk about what I'm going to use today. So I talked about the butterfly. I'm not going to use the butterfly today, although I do love it. This is the stamp set that coordinates with the stencils. So here is a look at the stencils. I know my lights are crazy bright. Let's take this out of the packaging. You can use this stencil as a standalone stencil as well, or you can coordinate it with the stamp. And I always think that's kind of fun when a stencil can live on its own, but it will not have the outline black lines. So if you want the lines, grab the stencil, and it's called Celebrate, I'm pretty sure. And there's 4 stencils. You can add different colors. I'm going to use 5 different colors for my stenciling just to keep it interesting, you know? And then I do want to mention, I really like the Hero Arts fonts. They have some different styles, like even for when it says you did it, the little I is kind of with the T. I think that's kind of cool. So that is the stamp I'm going to use. Here are the stencils. I do like that Hero Arts does put their logo on one side, which is kind of helpful for knowing which side's the top. And then they do give you numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they do put the product number on the side, which not everybody does that. And if you're stenciling and you need to wash things up, maybe you're like me and you might take things over to your kitchen to wash up stencils when you're finished, and you just want to know which ones go with which set easily. You can easily see the number on the bottom. And then this is a big one. It's called Stamp and Cut XL. This is called It's Our Anniversary. My goodness, it barely fits on the screen here. I'm going to take that little banner off so you can get a really nice, good look at what we're looking at here. The big, bold sentiments I've always kind of been excited about when I craft because it does really make a bold statement. So we have Celebrate, Party, and then there are several different stamps that you can add to that, which would be kind of a good first sentiment set. If you're new to crafting, maybe you need something that's for graduation, anniversary, retirement, birthday, just a happy celebration kind of style. So I'm going to use the stamps and the party die because I already used the Celebrate. Let's use the other one just for fun. And that's where my shaker is going to live. Spoiler alert. Let's start with stamping. I have my mini Misty. I even got it all nice and clean. Every once in a while you have to do some TLC on your products. And that was happening. Okay. I have my card panel that I'm going to start with cut down to Let's just make sure I'm going to say this correctly. 3 3/4 by 5, which is basically taking 1/2 inch off of the A2 because I do want a very bold border. Hi, Dana. Thanks for joining me. Anyway, so I have that all set up, ready to go, and it does fit this stamp really nicely. My shaker is going to be in the middle. So I'm very excited to make a shaker because I love shakers. Okay, so I got my stamp all set. Let's grab some magnets just in case I need to do a double stamp. You never know. Let's make sure my magnets are not in the way of my stamp. That should do it. And I'm going to get some heat embossing going. I'm going to use this black embossing ink. It's super sticky. I like to do, whenever I have black ink that I want to heat emboss, I like to use black ink and then clear embossing powder. Because when you do heat embossing, all of the little flecks from the powder, which you'll see in a second, if I used clear ink and black powder, those little flecks would be melted into my card panel. And we don't need black flecks everywhere unless that's the look you're going for, which today I'm not looking for that. Oh, Tina, I won't tell anyone that you're supposed to be working. Okay. Oh dear, I cannot find my stamp press. Oh, there it is. This one my husband made for me. Give it a good press. And I should have probably used my anti-static tool because I am going to heat emboss, but I'm using clear, so I won't tell if you won't tell, you know? Okay, that looks like it got a great impression, so I don't need to stamp twice. Yay, love that for me. Now, I keep all of my, well, not all of my, but the ones that I use the most. So clear, white, black, gold, silver, I keep those 5 colors in these little sandwich containers. So when I need to heat emboss, I can just dunk my project in like this, get it all over, and then I can just tap off the excess and get it in. Hi, Diana. Thanks for joining me. Super fun to see familiar names. All right, we'll put that off to the side and clean this off. We don't need anything melting into my glass mat. And then I'll grab my heat tool. I am going to just briefly mute this because I don't know if my microphone is going to make this quiet. So we're just going to assume that it might not. So I'm going to quick be muted for just about 40 seconds. Bonus points if you actually plug in your heat gun. It will work. So many helpful tips here that I'm giving. It's like when you try to vacuum and your vacuum's not working. But guess what? It wasn't plugged in. Alrighty, here we go. Okay, that's all melted up. So now I have this panel, and I'm going to grab my stamp wheel, the little one, and we'll get to stenciling. My stamp wheel is so well loved, as you can see. Lots of discoloration. This would be such a fun stamp to Copic color as well, just because of all the little fun areas. Okay, I'm going to line this up, and I'm going to choose not to add ink to the little streamer areas, and I'm going to just ink up the stars on this stencil. So we will just get that in place. That looks pretty good. Pretty good is how I do a lot of my things. Okay, we're going to take Squeeze Lemonade, Distress Oxide color. And I do have these little brushes from Spellbinders that help for getting into small areas. So I'm going to just focus on the little stars. And I think my stencil might be a tad bit crooked, so I think I will reposition it. But the side looks fine for whatever reason. So I'm just gonna lift it up, reposition. This is the joys of live crafting. Now, if you don't have these little skinny brushes for stenciling small areas and you're concerned maybe about getting ink onto this area, you can always mask off the areas you're not wanting ink on, maybe just with a piece of low tack craft tape or even a post-it note or a scrap piece of paper if you hold it in place. It doesn't have to be crazy engineered or whatever. You can just cover it up. Something to keep the ink off of where you don't want it. And then we'll get these last two little ladies. I'm trying to go outside my comfort zone of my color palette, but I always tend to reach for these the cool colors. So that's what we're doing again. This panel, let's do these with kind of like a teal, which I love teal. And let's see, which color did I pick out to use? Salvage Patina. And I think we'll use my bigger brush since this isn't having to be like very particular about not getting ink on certain spots. So this banner does have little confetti pieces on it. And I plan to use maybe like the shaded lilac over these. So those little circles and triangles and squares, I know my shapes, are going to be covered up with the purple shaded lilac. So anyways, look how quick this is coming together. Loving it. If I was not doing this live, I probably would grab maybe some paste or something, but that would take way too long to dry for live streaming. But sometimes stencils like this, I think this layer would be super cool to do with a paste and get these little like sparkly tiny shapes. I think that would be super cute. Okay, repositioning. I do have everything linked in the description if you're interested in grabbing anything that I'm using here today. And if you have questions, I can always help. Even if you're watching this on the replay or the live. I grab my purpley brush. This one's just from Spellbinders as well. Most of these brushes are, a brush is a brush, but I did have these sent to me like a year or two ago, and they're holding up nicely, so that's always good. And then we'll just get the bottom spots. The shaded lilac and Salvage Patina are both cool tone colors, so it does look nice to have those together, in my opinion. But you can change up the colors and make this however you want. I was kind of brainstorming last night, and I think that this would be really cute for maybe some 4th of July themed cards if you're from the US, or you could do St. Patrick's Day, which we just had. You can do a whole bunch of different shades of green. I think that would be super cute as well. Christmas maybe with some reds and greens. And then on the flowers, maybe you could put like a little poinsettia die cut over there. I don't know. Do you say poinsettia or poinsettia? I'm nosy. I say poinsettia. My husband says poinsettia. No clue why that is. We both grew up in Minnesota. We both got the accents. I don't know. There's so many things like that that we do not agree on about pronouncing words. All right, my last stencil here, I'm going to go 2 different tones or 2 different colors for this one. Once I get my stencil lined up, I do find it so helpful to have some kind of a sticky mat. If you are using stencils, maybe you don't have to buy the whole kit and caboodle of a stamp wheel, but at least get some kind of a sticky mat grid. It is so helpful. Just throwing that out there for you. Okay, I'm going to use Twisted Citron for the little hanging, look like little ghosties, which, by the way, I made my first Halloween card last week. Can you believe it? Yeah. And I'm using April Clubs from Spellbinders, using a product that is not supposed to be Halloween, but I was feeling the color palette of Halloween, so it turned into a Halloween card. Dana, if you're still watching, I'm sure that you would be excited about that. So you can see that card in my April Club video that will be coming up in, I don't know, 13? No, what day? Today's the 20th, so maybe like 10, 12 days. I don't remember. It's in March. I should remember. But when you're doing live stream, things like that are just out of your head. Okay, saltwater taffy will be the flowers. I don't have a lot of the Twisted Citron around them, so I'm not even going to wipe off my mat, but I am going to use a skinny little brush. I also have the skinny little brushes from Altenew. I find anytime you can get something that's going to help you be a little more precise with the stencils, it helps. But kind of like I said before, a brush is a brush, unless it is dropping hairs, which is gross. Dana, I knew you would like that little Halloween card. Okay, my last one and my last peel and reveal. I love doing that. It's so satisfying to see it finished. Here we go. If I can grab it. Ta-da! All right, put the inks off to the side. Ooh, my too much brain is kicking in. I'm going to say no to my too much brain. I had an idea and it's too much, so I'm not doing that. Sometimes when I like to take my paper off of my sticky grid, I like to do it like this, just because sometimes my paper can bend. I'm using a very thick cardstock today, so I don't think that would have happened anyway, but just thought I would mention it if you come across a paper bending issue. It happens to the best of us. Okay, next, let us die cut out the party words. Now this is going to be a little strange, so bear with me. I have almost a full piece of foam, and we're going to stick it on the back of this right now. So I cut this foam with my paper trimmer to be just a tiny, tiny bit smaller than my panel. Maybe about 1/8 of an inch smaller. Maybe even a 1/16. I don't remember. And then I'm leaving this sheet still on there so it's not crazy sticky. So this is not sticking to my glass mat, but it has now stuck to my panel. And then I'm going to take my die. This is the shadow die for the word party. And I'm going to cut this out. Paper and die. It's going to be a thick little gal going through my die cutting machine, but it'll be fine. I'm hoping. And then I'm going to put some tape here so everything stays in place, because I have a feeling it's going to get a little crazy in my die cutting machine. But I think that should do it for my tape. And I did put the tape on the inside of the die because if I put it on the outside, it could lift off some of my stenciling, which would be not the best. So let's run this through my die cutting machine. I'm using my Evolution Advanced one, which is an electric one. So I'm going to quickly mute it. Actually, no, I'm not going to mute it. I'm going to let it be its motor in the background. And I would like you to tell me if it is very loud or just a little bit of a hum. We're going to do a little mic check. So I'm sorry if this is loud. And if not, now we know. Alrighty. So I did run this through one time. You can see it kind of cut some of it. It's thick foam. So we're going to just give it the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to rotate it a little bit in my machine and run it through just one more time. I think then it will be good to go. I hope it was not really loud. Sounds like a blender. Pretty loud. Okay, muting for the second time. Thank you for telling me. Now we know. All right, we'll just pop off the foam. Actually, let's pop the die off first. And I have a feeling that it will just also come off as well. There we go. All right. Now this foam that just popped off from here, I can use this behind other projects. So I am going to keep the little release on there. I am a crafter who does not like to waste products. So if I can reuse tape or reuse foam, I do. Okay. Oh, silly girl. I forgot to add my acetate sheet before I put my foam on. Well, I guess we're going to add that now. We're going to have to add another layer of foam. It'll be fine. That's what happens when I live craft. Okay, we're just going to put that right here. This is just a scrap of acetate that I happen to have in my craft room. I'll cut it down to the right size. Okay, more foam. Did not plan for that, but whatever. Now I get to show you how I cut my foam down. Wee. This is just foam that I grabbed when I was making a light. Oh goodness, it's not going to work with my camera here. And anyway, I grabbed this foam when I was making, not shaker cards. It was cards that had a light in it, and you needed a lot of support for making a card that had a light in it. Spoiler alert, it is super easy to make cards that have lights. Okay, now to get my party die in the right spot. This is going so well today. Okay, I'm going to put this back on so I can figure out the placement for my party die on this piece of foam because it needs to be lining up with my other one. That's the wrong die. We're going to use tape to help us because everything's slippery. I'm going to just pounce it a few times on my sweatshirt here just so it is not super sticky. And then we'll just kind of make a hinge for the two foam pieces to go together. Okay. And we'll line this up. Sorry for my squeaky chair. Thank you for being patient with me. I'll just tape that on. Melanie says use a pencil to trace it. Oh, yeah, that might have worked. Good idea. All right, I'm going to go ahead and die cut this. And again, I'm going to mute it. So I might be quiet for a second here. All right, that just popped right out. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to take this side off because this will stick to my side that I already have on the back of my panel. I don't really need like tons of foam because my shaker bits that I'm going to use are really skinny little sequins or sparkly discs, if you will. So it doesn't need to be like crazy tall. It's going to be a very strong card though, because I started with 120-pound white cardstock and then foam and then more foam and then the card base. Oh, and a background color. So definitely have structure. So there is my little window all ready to go. Next, I'm going to add my shaker bits. I will use my anti-static tool. This is from Rabbit Hole. It doesn't have a ton of the clay flecks on it right now, so it will not make my window too cloudy, but you just have to kind of be careful when you use the anti-static tools to not get little hairs from the brush or lots of white flecks of dust in there. This shaker isn't like that serious because the word party is going to be over it. So it's just to give the background just a teeny tiny bit shaker look, but not like a full panel shaker or anything like that. So I'll take the release off again. And then I need my black background paper. And before I get too crazy and put my background on, I cannot forget to add my shaker elements here. These are from Pink and Main. These are from the Advent calendar, specifically from Pink and Main. Just going to try to focus them in the shaker window areas. And I think that these shaker bits will look cute with my oxide colors that I chose. You'll have to let me know what you think when we're finished with this and I flip it around. And I don't want to add too many because I don't want it to get clogged up and stuck. Clogged up is real aggressive, but hopefully you know what I mean. Yeah, Melanie, this isn't really my go-to, but because it's just a little section, I thought that this might be a fun way to do shakers. I've done shakers on my channel a few different ways. I do have one video that pops in my mind that's called Shaker Cards 2 Ways. And that is, strangely enough, a Halloween themed video. And that is typically the two methods that I use. And if someone asks me about how I make shaker cards, that's the video that I point people to, because it is low cost on materials and it is easier than I think this. I mean, this is pretty simple, but if you forget your can't think of the word, the acetate, then you're kind of in trouble here. Okay, I'm gonna use a black piece of scrap paper to cover up my area, because then I can get my background on without it being like a disaster. If you know what I'm saying. If you don't know what I'm saying, just hang on. I'm gonna get a scrap ready. That should do it. Weirdly enough, that's a great size. And I'll just pop that on, and that is going to close up my shaker window, and I'm going to give that a firm press. So hopefully the little sequined shaker sparkly bits don't get stuck by the foam, but if they do, oh well. I do notice there's now 11 people on here, so if you haven't said hello or where you're watching from, or if you have any questions, pop those in the chat so we know who's here and how your day's going. My day's had a very lovely start. We're just making some cards here. Anyway, there's my little shaker area. Very simple and fun. Now my word party is going to go over there, so if you're just joining me going, what in the world is she making? Bear with me. I have a vision here, okay? Now I'm going to add a little bit of liquid glue over the sides and the back of this black area. The white sections here are sticky foam, so I don't need, let's add glue there too, because sometimes it gives me a little bit of wiggle room for positioning. And I'm going to put this directly onto my black background, and it's going to be a thick border. So if it's crooked, it's going to look strange. So let's give her a flip, and we'll figure out the rest of our sentiments. I'm not just going to have the word party as my sentiment. Got to get my head over this. I'm going to use some other stamps and add more sentiments and make it extra fancy. All right, that is on. Now for the word party, I did die cut out party already, but I'm going to do it again because I want it to be super thick. A thick sentiment always looks really nice to me. So I'm using scrap paper, which is white and black, that I accidentally made an oops on another project, but it just is thick, so I did not want to throw it away. You can see the blacks on the back here, the whites here. Hi, Sharon. Thanks for letting me know. I'm going to die cut out the party again with this scrap. So this will be, in the end, 4 layers thick. And I think that is just like nice and thick. We like a thick little section. And I'll just grab my Scout and die cut it out. We love a good rhyme. I've been rhyming like crazy in kindergarten. Normally on Thursdays, I'm not in kindergarten. So if you're wondering, like, wait, aren't you a teacher? Aren't you at school? No, not at school today. All right, we will roll this little lady through. It's 2 pieces of paper, but pretty sure the Scout can handle cutting that just fine. Just check, yeah. We're all good. Pretty sure this Scout will be coming with me on my trip when I go visit Miss Melanie. I'm also going to see Joy this summer. Take my crafting on the road. All right, that is looking fabulous. Now I'm going to be a little bit picky with my sentiments and see which one looks better and put the best one on top. I think this one looks better because for whatever reason, right there, my R kind of got a little wonky. So, oh, thank you, Sharon. That's so sweet. I know, right, Melanie? It's going to be awesome. Then we'll just add this on. With some liquid glue. Right on top. Nice and thick. We love a thick die cut. It almost looks like a chipboard from like a scrapbooking or the chipboard stickers for card making. Nice and thick. Which is reminding me, I need to buy thick paper. I need to buy magnetic sheets. There's so many things I need to like restock in the craft room that I have been putting off quite a bit. Anyway, the reason why I chose a black background and a white sentiment is because I like when there is the dark or any kind of color, like dark color background with a white sentiment. It just really pops. It almost looks like it's glowing a little bit. So that is why I did white with my little panel here, like so. Now that I'm looking at it though, I'm definitely going to add more sentiments to this. And we're going to use, let's use some from the sentiment set that came with the big stamp. Let's do let's. And then you did it. That would be cute. And we'll do some black scrap paper for that. And a block. Should we use my Misty again? Sometimes I just don't trust myself with live crafting that things are going to be straight. So we will do that. Get my other one off. Just can't believe how clean this looks. My goodness. That should do it. I like to use little scraps when I make sentiments because then I have to trim them down less, which means more time in the craft room for doing other things besides just trimming and doing some of the piddly little things. All right, let's see. I'm going to use clear Versamark ink for this because it's black paper. And I'm going to have white powder, which means I am going to reach for my anti-static tool and just gently dust it. Not really dust it. I'm adding clay dust, so if anything, I'm reverse dusting. And then I'm using clear Versamark ink. Any kind of embossing sticky clear ink should do the job. Sometimes I joke about some things in my craft room being like my emotional support ink. I've had this specific pad for so long. My emotional support ink. I also have an emotional support paintbrush that has been with me since like high school. Yeah. It's so normal, isn't it? That looks like it did stamp just fine. I'm going to call it good. Sometimes you can re-ink 2 times, and as long as you stamp in the exact same spot, it is not a problem. Let's do white. We're sticking with the white and black drama bold theme. Things are falling. All right, here's my white container. Before I had clear, I'll just dunk her in. Do a little tap, tap, tap. Lovely. Like I said, I really do like this font. I think it is super funky. Now for this, I'm going to use my reverse tweezers because I am a little bit paranoid about burning my hands. I had a kind of a close encounter the other day when I was heat embossing. I'm going to mute for the heat gun. I do have a little bit of some white flecks that got onto the black cardstock, but such is life. Nobody is perfect, you know. Then we'll trim down the sentiment. I like my mini trimmer for jobs like this because I can get right up close where I need to cut. And it is little, it's not too bulky. Let's see, I need to scrub another kind here. I need this to be straight. I'm going to use this one as a little pushing guide for this piece because there isn't a support right here, and this piece, once it passes that, it could get a little bit crooked, which is fine, but I'd rather it not. Perfect. A little bit on the bottom. Sometimes I get into this part of the crafting and it's a little bit more on this side, a little bit more on that side, and then all of a sudden you trim too much. It's like if you ever give yourself a haircut, it's a little bit more off the top. All of a sudden, got a pixie cut. If you weren't going for that. So sorry. Some people look so good with pixie cuts. I am extremely jealous because hair is a pain to keep styled. Alrighty, last trim. Nope, one more trim. Too much. A little off the top. Yeah, there we go. You did it. Let's. Which would be confusing if the word party was not involved. And why not pop up these sentiments? Because the more dimension, the better. Use scrap foam from all of my trimming ventures. I like to peel both sides off. At least I try to peel both sides off at the same time because I don't like to sit there and pick at the little pieces. And so I just had to release the tape 2 times instead of releasing it 4 times, which my brain is quicker, right? I do love these scissors. I think they're called shears, technically, from Spellbinders. They are non-stick. If you don't have a non-stick scissors in your craft room and it annoys you when things stick, I would recommend a non-stick scissors. All right, we have a let's. I'm going to put that kind of in this white space here. Let's party. You did it. This would even be kind of fun for like a graduation or a retirement style card because it's celebrating some kind of accomplishment. Now my brain wants the sentiments to be like at an angle, but this white space tells me that it probably should go here. That makes sense to me. We're going to put it there. I'm going to go back to my sentiments, not sentiments, my shaker bits, and add a little bit of sparkle and shine to the flowers. And then maybe some more sparkles, because if you know me, you know I like it sparkly. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to pay attention and get the smaller ones for the flowers because I don't want them to overwhelm the flower. Cute. Let's do different color ones because that sounds fun to my brain. No, we're not doing different color ones. That looks turkey. Yes, more of a refined, elegant look. So my style. Just kidding. All right, that looks good. I don't think it needs extra this time. We're gonna edit a little bit, but that looks really cute, doesn't it? I hope you like this card. You can see the little shaker bits there. They, for whatever reason, seem to be not moving a whole lot, but the exciting part is you can look through and see them. Now the only thing I have left to do is put a card front on here. So I'm going to do that. As I finish up, I'll just mention one more time that if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button before you head out. And leave a comment if you're watching on the replay, so I know that you caught it on the replay. I'm sure a lot of people are going to have to do that because it's Thursday in the morning as I am doing this live. And then also, if you're interested in any of these products, again, they're from Hero Arts. So I do have them linked in the description, which they are affiliate links, which means I do get a little teeny tiny bit of a kickback from that, and it does not cost anything extra for you to use my links. And I do have other companies that I'm affiliated with down there, specifically Spellbinders, because Spellbinders is like, they have purchased Hero Arts. I cannot say that in any normal way. And then also I like to highlight Hero Arts, Spellbinders, and also Pajama Crafter Stamps, because I'm on the design team for Pajama Crafter Stamps and have been for a year, and I just love the company, and I do love some of their new spring stuff that just came out. So if you haven't checked out their spring stuff, be sure to do that. Lots of bunnies and just really cute stuff. And if you're a St. Patrick's Day crafter, they have, is it three stamp sets that are all about St. Patrick's Day. Might be two. I think it's two. My brain is a little bit crazy right now, but definitely check that out. But there's a lot of really cute things from Hero Arts that are coming out with this release here today. And happy first day of spring. It's been kind of a mild winter here in Minnesota, so I'm not as like, yeah, spring as normal, but I always enjoy the turn of a season. And in kindergarten, springtime is so exciting. Everybody's growing up and doing lots of spring crafts. I don't know. The other day I had this moment where I was like, maybe I should do like kindergarten craft tutorials on YouTube, because we do like arts and crafts all the time. So I don't know. Just thoughts. Anyway, let me know what you think about this one in the comments, and we will see you next time. So thank you for watching. Bye-bye.